So dramatic. I love
That
that
was so
intro.
cool. I had no idea that was coming.
Yeah, that's the one that Tez Rollins made for us, by the way. So,
So good. That's so
yeah.
good.
Anyway, welcome to Dome Pieces. This is our re-inaugural episode of Dome Pieces, which was originally just supposed to be a one-off conversation with Luke Reynolds and I, but a couple of things. We've decided to get back on here and do it again because, number one, if you saw the first episode, Luke was having some technical issues, and you really didn't get a good look at his smiling, cute, beautiful face and his helmets, and we wanted to do it again. But second of all, we've decided that although not on a regular schedule, this is going to be a recurring thing. And Luke is going to end up being my co-host. And when we get the time and life permits, we're going to have helmet makers and other helmet collectors and helmet sellers on here so that we can service what I believe is a demographic that isn't serviced very well. And that's helmet collectors, right, Luke?
Absolutely, yeah. It's an area that we've spoke about before, haven't we? That we don't see a lot of on YouTube. So I'm sure it's there, but yeah, it seems much harder to find.
Absolutely, and yeah, I totally get it. The price and the storage and the finding reputable dealers. We're all going to get into today. But first of all, I want to introduce my co-host properly. You probably already know him if you're here, but I'm going to let you know who he is anyway. This is, I can point the right way, Luke. There we go. Yeah, this is my friend from the United Kingdom, Luke Reynolds, who, as you can see behind him, is also a helmet collector. Luke, tell me a little bit about yourself and where people can find you on the internet, sir.
Based in the UK, they can find me. Everyone can find me on YouTube, on pretty much every social media nowadays, which upsets me sometimes. But Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all under the same name. It's something that social media is something that I've not particularly familiarized myself with until having a YouTube channel. And then, unfortunately, if you're going to have a YouTube channel, it's kind of essential just to get yourself out there and stuff. But yeah, if you can find me, give me a follow. I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I watch Luke's channel on a regular basis and give him a hard time in the comments, and I highly recommend you do so as well. So.
Everybody does, Paul. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. You know what, though? You handle it absolutely fantastic, so it's not a problem at all. While we're here, speaking of absolutely fantastic, we probably should give a shout out. Luke is kind of, I wouldn't say loosely affiliated, but pretty strongly affiliated with Universal Shabby Reviews live stream. It is on there a bit too, right, Luke?
Yeah. I was on last night, and they're very kind enough to invite me on every so often. So yeah, really enjoy that.
They gave you such. If you haven't seen the stream from yesterday, you're gonna go back and watch it. They gave Luke such a hard time. It was awesome. You were absolutely fantastic, Luke. Just so you know.
No, yeah, it comes from the right place, I think.
Absolutely. What else was I gonna do? Oh, so Luke, we'll kind of get right into this because I know people wanted to talk about helmets and hear about helmets, but I'd like to acknowledge some of the people in the chat real fast. There's one of my favorite people on the planet,
Christian.
Yeah,
good to see you, my friend.
Two of my favorite YouTubers in the same place. Of course, I'm here. I love this because we'll get a bunch of the English guys that I never get to see on my live streams normally. So, speaking of which, Connor Fuller.
Hey, Connor. It's good to see you, mate.
Good to see you, and thank you, sir. We hope it turns out brilliant and not boring, right, Luke?
Hope so.
Yeah, there's one of my newest friends. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. That's going to be the theme of tonight.
4 minutes it took.
That's going to be anyway. There's my my good friend Shanti, who I just met recently. I appreciate you stopping by. This man deserves a special note. This is Michael Hendrickson. Luke, he is one of the first members. I have memberships on my channel now, and has been here since the very start. So it's good to see you, Michael.
Very good of you, Michael.
Rick over at Left Coast. Yeah, I like having Rick in the chats, Luke, because he contramands everything I say. He's like, "No, you're wrong," and let me tell you why in the chat. I love it.
I look forward to that.
Yeah. Oh, there's my favorite bass player, Crazy 8. Oh, there we go.
There he goes, Dave. VTR Dave.
I love it. Yesterday, I was so glad to be able to catch it on the rewind because it was you and Dave, and of course, with three of my other favorite people. And then I got to meet Rick also. So yesterday was beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's DCB June.
Hey, DCB.
And there's a name that's new to me, Retrofiles.
Barry. Yeah, Barry. Good to see you, man. I do know. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's just started on YouTube, Paul, actually. Check him out. He's great. He's really good. Yeah, really good channel.
Okay, good. Well, for what it's worth, I'm not as bad as Luke likes to say I am. So, and you know how I do every time he shows up. Scuba Pete's in the house.
Scuba.
You gotta love him. And then one last thing before we get started, Luke, I don't really worry about subscriber count and all that stuff, but I did want to take a moment to recognize that Luke's channel just recently passed 1,000 subscribers. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. I don't know how you did it. Your stuff's boring as hell, but whatever.
And so repetitive.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. It's not repetitive. Yeah, you know what? I love one of your videos where you show a clip from your very first video, and you're like, "Hi, I'm Luke. I'm on YouTube." It was so funny. I loved it, brother.
I want to be anywhere but here.
Right? Why did I put a camera in front of my face?
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. Oh, and then my buddy KC over in LA. Good to see you, KC. I appreciate you stopping by. Although this isn't the proper forum for it, KC got me some signed pictures of a buddy of mine who is in the Book of Boba Fett. Luke, he plays a couple of the Petunias. Yeah,
no way! Wow.
Yeah, we're all living vicarously. His name's Artish. We're living vicariously through him right now. So.
Some name dropping.
Yeah, I kind of know some people and stuff. So Luke, I kind of want to dive right in. The focus of our last show was kind of both of us, but my connection was perfect, and you saw my helmets and everything. So we're going to kind of concentrate on you this time, if you're cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, people can see those beautiful helmets behind you, but the first question I have for you is, how did you kind of get started in helmet collecting? I mean,
that's an easy one. It was again, Rachel sort of kind of got me into it, really. I remember where I live, we have a couple of charity events each year. Now, we've not had it for a couple of years because obviously COVID, etc. But we have a charity event that takes place, and whenever we go, there's usually the UK garrison walking around. So we've got stormtroopers walking around mingling and doing a bit of fundraising. I remember me and Rachel were talking. I was looking at these stormtroopers, got my picture taken, and I said, I'd love to have a stormtrooper armor. I'd just love to get some. And she looked at me and sort of said, "Why do you talk like you can't have it? Why are you talking like you can't have stormtrooper armor?" I was like, "Well, I wouldn't know where to get it, and I wouldn't know blah blah blah." So just go ask them. So we ended up sort of having a conversation with these guys and sort of, where do you get the armor, blah blah blah. And then I ended up getting a really good deal on a set again off eBay, would you believe? From TK Armor. But it was one of those where they were. I don't know if there was some sort of deal going on, but they were just throwing full armor kits. But it was a kit; it wasn't ready to wear. It was like a kit that you had to build. But for all intents and purposes, you got everything you needed, but you sort of had to do the work. So they were generally cheaper. But they were just going for auction. Well, the auctions were finishing at sort of on an evening at £800, £900. But they just kept throwing them on at random times during the day. So I started watching a set that finished at 3 a.m. It's exactly what it was like when I got it. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. And so I started watching a listing that finished at 3 a.m. Oh. So I set my alarm to wake myself up at like 2:45, thinking, I'm sure there's the odd person that's maybe doing what I'm doing, but I should be able to get it for a bag. And I got it for just under £300. Now, obviously, I had to do the work, but over about 2 years of an hour on an evening here and there, managed to finish it. But then, of course, once I finished the helmet, I put all the armor in a storage box. But I thought I'm gonna sit the helmet on the side because that looks so cool. Sat the helmet on the side. A few evenings, sort of sat and kept glancing over. That looks so good. I wonder what else you can get. And that was kind of it. Started looking at what else so then I bought another one, and then Black Series had kind of just started. So I think my first Black Series helmet was the Kylo Ren helmet. And then I think the Imperial Stormtrooper, and just went from there. That was when we used to sort of not produce them, but there is a couple of sort of homemade helmets in the back. That's how we used to get them from our supplier as a cast, and then we basically did the rest of the work ourselves. But that's how I got started. Yeah.
So you didn't start like just with the helmet. You decided I want the whole suit, and the helmet just kind of dragged you into it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how long total would you say, Luke, that it took you to finish that whole suit? Because you said you were working on it like an hour or two every day.
Well, it was just short of 2 years, which I know sounds a long time, but that was quite literally because like a lot of people, I was working. I had commitments on a weekend, so it was quite literally doing a little bit on an evening here and there, an hour, 30 minutes, another hour. If I could have dedicated a significant chunk of time, all the way through that, then I dare say, obviously, I could have done a lot quicker. But there were certain pieces to buy as well. It didn't come with every single piece that you need. For example, it came with strapping, but you had to sort of manufacture the way to connect the strapping to the armor So it was all sort of quite custom. But
Wow.
yeah, about just short of 2 years. But again, if you could
Wow.
dedicate chunks of time to it, you could do it a lot
Mhm.
quicker.
Okay. So, Luke, we're going to take a quick break because KC is making a request. So, as I
Oh yeah.
mentioned earlier, I got pictures of my buddy Artisher in costume. He's on the Book of Boba Fett, and he signed them and sent them to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So there's the Clatoonian boss that's in the meat factory, and
Yeah.
then there is the Clatoonian boss that says "I abide," and that's my buddy Artisher under there. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah. Sorry
Yeah,
about
that
that.
is cool. No, not at all.
And there's Josh snuck in on us.
Hey, Josh.
So, Luke, I think I have a picture of the finished armor. Is that the one that you
Yeah.
sent me? Okay.
It is. Yeah.
So this is what it looked like when you were all done.
Yeah, I think I've not actually put on the hand guards there, so the hand guards are missing on the back of my hands. But yeah, that's pretty much it finished. Yeah.
Wow, that's a phenomenal looking set of armor. You got more patience than I do, brother.
Yeah, well, it was something that I was absolutely determined that I wanted to finish. And the thing is, I've not worn it a huge amount of times. I've done. I don't do anything obviously for the UK Garrison and the 501st. It was just something I wanted to do for fun. I've done a couple of family parties, for sort of nieces and nephews and things like that. And then I've got a friend who has a local shop for sort of retro memorabilia and things like that and pop culture bits. So every so often on May the 4th, I'll do a little bit of PR outside his shop and get some people in and things like that. But no, I've not worn it for a while, which is sad. Hey ho.
The next time you're doing one of those like PR things or something like that, you got to get somebody to get a little bit of video of you.
Yeah, I will.
I would love to see that. Yeah.
Although, I mean, the armor might have shrunk, since then.
I was scared to ask you really quick. Oh my God, I've lost control of my cursor here. Where did it go? There we go. You got to love Tez. What an absolutely fantastic stream, Luke. Oh. And Casey says hello from the Southern California Garrison.
Hello.
501st down there. And also we got Steve-O has showed up on us as well. It's good to see you, Steve-O.
Hey, Steve-O.
And I think I saw Flex and Salacious wants to polish Mr. Paul's
Salacious. It's so difficult to read his stuff as well.
Yeah, first of all, I can barely read it. And second of all, you probably don't want to hear what he said anyway. It's a lot.
I chose to ignore it, Paul.
So before we move on, Connor's actually got a question. Luke, did you find and did you enjoy the process of painting and finishing the cast, or did you find it to be more of like tedious work and you were just trying to get to the end?
No, well, to start with, it was extremely enjoyable because it was something that we'd obviously not ever really thought of doing. We kind of got into it. The first one that we bought, my brother bought, was for a gift for myself, which ended up being, I know it's very bright, but ended up being the ATAT pilot helmet just down there. And then once we'd done that, we kind of looked at each other and sort of said, we could probably do this, couldn't we? If we got a cast, could we paint it and blah blah. So it kind of started like that. The first couple, we had a friend paint for us who sprays cars, so we knew that was going to be obviously a good finish. But of course, we had to pay him. And once we paid him, and then did bought decals and the paint for the hand painting. And things like that, there wasn't a huge the ones when we decided to sell them, there wasn't a huge profit margin. So in the end, we quite literally did it with just some spray paint bought over the counter. We got a tin of primer, just literally in the back garden, did the primer as evenly, a few tutorials on YouTube as evenly as we could, let it dry. And then, for example, I think I sent you a picture actually, Paul. We did a 501st clone trooper, so a few coats of white. And then we hand painted the blue detail on there quite literally with a paintbrush, a bit of masking tape, and we found that we could sort of do it ourselves with tins of spray paint, which was far cheaper. So so that was pretty much how that started. But no, it was extremely enjoyable. At no point did I find it stressful, and you could generally do them over a course of a week. With drying time and things like that, so we could sort of do them fairly quickly, and we often did one each. So we could usually knock two out a week, which was pretty good.
Okay, so Luke, I'm going to zone in on this a little bit. You're telling me right here that, look at that beautiful shine. That is so rare on regular helmets. This that I'm looking at right here, that's all spray paint and masking and hand painted details.
Over the counter spray paint. The white is over the counter spray paint. The blue is a tin of paint with hand painted with a paintbrush, and the blue stripes on the side, they're decals. But yeah, everything else there. The black strip above the eyes is hand painted. Yeah.
That is literal fan art, is what that is. So
Yeah, we're really pleased with them.
it looks really good. Which, as an aside, for those who aren't sure, a lot of people ask me, well, how do these weird companies in Russia and Massachusetts or LA get away with making these helmets without getting copyright problems? And because they're technically considered fan art, they're not making props. So fan art, it falls outside of purview. But most of the time, they're mass producing them. Let's just be honest. But Luke, you're saying that's actual fan art, man. That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, to be fair, I usually did spray paint. My brother did the hand painting. He always had a steadier hand than I did.
Oh, and as a quick aside, there are two Lukes. I'm assuming the brother you're talking about is the one that looks like you, right? The twin.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
If you go back on Luke's channel, he's actually had him on, and they look exactly alike to me. But if you listen to me, at least you can hear the difference in them. So,
right.
Andy, it's always good to see you. Oh,
hey, Andy.
That's very nice. Andy, he dabbles in helmets a little bit too, but he's got a little bit of everything, so he can't get crazy like us. So.
Yeah.
So Luke, that's good to hear, man. I'm actually glad you enjoyed that. Hey, make Andy one.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could now.
So VTR Dave has a question for you, Luke. That reference that 501st. Is there a lacquer coat on top that makes it shiny like that?
No, there isn't. We obviously we were thinking about what kind of coat, what kind of top coat do we need to finish it, and when we'd actually finished it, we kind of found that we were happy with how it finished just with gloss. So we didn't want to mess around with it. It was one of those things, because we weren't still massively experienced. When we sat it down and it was finished, we kind of thought, I don't want to mess with it, because we kind of surprised ourselves a little bit. That was one of the first. So we sort of stood and looked at each other like, do you want to try and put a top coat on that? Let's just leave it, because if we ruin it, then and in the end, so we never did, and we didn't do with any of them in the end, and we never had any issues. Nobody ever came back to us with any problems when we sold some, so we just know there's no top coat on there.
Okay, I wouldn't mess with it either, to be perfectly honest. I think it's shiny and beautiful. Good job.
Yeah, well, that was it. We didn't feel it needed any extra sort of shine finish to it, so.
And I know you get this question a lot too, Luke, so we're just going to get this right out of the way.
Okay.
On my YouTube channel, probably the question that I get, so out of every 3 questions, one of them is this: what stands are you using? Luke, would you like to go first?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, it is a toilet roll holder stand. And that is just a standard decal that we bought, cut a hole in the middle of it, and then put it over the top and stuck it onto the base. So it was like £3 or £4. It was plastic. We didn't really we wanted chrome. We wanted chrome stands, and then put the decals on the base. But we just found they were just super expensive. And obviously the plan was to get so many done in one bunch and stand them all on them to dry. We bought one to try it, and I think not long after that, because at that point we thought we were going to sort of do it fairly regular on the side, and then our supplier sort of got in touch with us one day and basically said, I'm wrapping up, my wife's ill, I need to stop doing this. And that was kind of it. We knew there was a risk. The way we were doing it, we knew there was a risk. Whilst we weren't actually producing the helmets ourselves, we knew there was a risk that, look, if this guy stops trading, then we're done. And it happened fairly quick. I think we'd only sold maybe a dozen before he got in touch with us and said, look, I'm not doing this anymore. To be fair to the guy, he sort of said, you're welcome. Before I do anything with anyone else, you're welcome to sort of come and look at the equipment. If you want to take the equipment, I'll show you how to use it. If you want to keep going, the equipment's here. I'll give you a crash course in how to use it. We were very interested at the time. The problem was the opportunity came just as my brother and his partner had bought a house. Rachel and myself were just in the process of buying a house. So all our money was pumped into our properties, and we had nowhere to house it all anyway. So then we would have been into renting units and things, and it just came at absolutely the wrong time. But we speak about it occasionally, me and Joe, and we still kind of feel it was an opportunity missed. Unfortunately, it just came right on the wrong time. But yeah, you had everything, vacuum forming machines, everything. We could have done it, but unfortunately that was that. We looked into other suppliers, but they were 4 and 5 times the price of what we were paying, and the profit margin was gone. So unfortunately we stopped.
So you're no longer in the helmet construction business in any fashion.
We are not. No, unfortunately not.
Well, that's not actually too bad because, as I understand it, Andy knows how to make his own helmets. As Steve-O has mentioned here, Andy's handy with a blowtorch. And he mentions destruction in his medium. If you saw that artillery trooper helmet that apparently turned the artillery piece towards his own face, it was a thing of beauty, right?
Well, no. I missed that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Oh. I will certainly be finding it after this, though.
So the last time you'll see it on Holo Chronicles is their live auction. He actually auctioned it off, and to someone's credit, someone paid like $250, $300 for it or something in there, I think, because it was for a good cause. But Andy, he tried to, you can't quite see it, it's back there. He tried to do the same thing I did with a Black Series, because that's just a Black Series incinerator trooper. And if you've seen it,
I remember your video, That's great.
Well, Andy tried to do the same thing, but I guess the tape blew up and he got yellow all over it. So he started weathering it lightly and then got out the blowtorch and everything like that. And it got worse until soon it looked like the guy had turned the mortar on himself and blown the whole side of his face off. It was hilarious.
No. Oh, no.
Love you, Andy. Cheers, baby. But back to what we were talking about, Luke, this is what I use. These are paper towel holders is all they are. There's two different types. This kind, the top doesn't come off. I have another kind that I get at Costco that the top comes off to make it shorter, because with like the Boba Fett helmet and stuff with the antenna, it needs to be shorter.
Of course, yeah.
So tell all your friends. I get this question probably once or twice a day on my videos, but that's all it is. These are like $10.
Yeah, they're really good. The chrome ones we were struggling to get them anywhere near that price. Obviously, UK money, but we just found they were just too expensive. So we went for a very cheap version, but it works well.
It works very well, and no one is the wiser. People are like, your stands are beautiful. Where are you getting them? I'm like, Bed Bath & Beyond, Target. And you remember we talked about the tough sense of humor me and my friends have, which is why I like you, because you can take it. Casey wants to know why you have an Imperial cog on your Republic helmet stand. that was an Imperial cog under there.
We had a TIE fighter pilot on it before that. That was just for the same. Yeah, just for the same. In fact, I think you've got that picture as well.
You know what? You did that really quick just because you guys were doing a photo shoot, and that's the story we're.
Yeah, we just that's what we did. We only had one, so we just swapped it over quickly.
There you go. So there you go, Casey. Really quick, let's get down. We had a bunch of people joining us. There's Matt over at Matt's Collection.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, Andy's an artist for sure, Connor. Chris, I haven't seen Chris in a month of Sundays.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, he streams in the morning when I'm dead asleep, so I have to catch some of it on the rewind sometimes. Yeah, and that was one of Bob Ross's collectible episodes. Yeah, when I was painting the helmet. Yeah, I tried to do my smooth voice and everything too. Like I was like, "Hey, everybody!" When I saw this guy on The Mandalorian, I just had to have him.
That's all the time, Paul.
Yeah,
all the time. Doesn't sound any different.
Andy, it's a gift. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? Let's see here. On a recent episode of Collection Wars, we found a wig stand on Amazon that works well for helmet. There you go.
Right.
I've discovered, especially with the storage issues you and I have, Luke, which we'll probably talk about here soon.
Yeah.
Creativity is especially with the price on these, is the best way to try to figure out how to display these. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to be honest, obviously we have the same cabinets, and when so they must obviously just the stands must just simply be a different size. But I've tried the stand in the cabinets with the helmet and they end up being too big. I've struggled to get the stands.
Luke, are you trying to tell me that
too tall?
You think your stand is bigger than mine? Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Stand is bigger than mine, huh? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, okay, yes, but basically, and then we've bought different ones, and then they're too small. You put the helmet on the top, and they just sit on the floor or sit on the shelf, and So I always am really impressed how you display yours, because I can never find a stand with the right height, so they end up just sitting on the shelf, which I don't think they display anywhere near as well as yours do. But I always struggle to get a stand, with the right height to make them fit well. So, yeah. Hey, JT.
Well, I appreciate it. JT, good to see you. Nick was in the stream yesterday.
Hey, Nick. Yeah.
I love Luke. He's absolutely fantastic. Luke, at this point, if you don't repeat things 50 times in your videos, no one's going to want to watch, because that's what we're there for at this point.
Well, if I'm honest, I don't think I could possibly do it. I think if I attempted to not say absolutely fantastic, I would probably have a seizure. So I don't know. It's something I'll have to. Yeah, I have no other words.
Just pass out on camera. I love it. Yeah. Matt's good to see. Dome Pros. That's what we are, buddy. We're dome pros. I like it. That sounds weird. Rolando, it's good to see you.
Hey, Rolando.
Oh, Matt, you know what? Okay, I've recently redone stuff. Matt says I'm a little quiet. If anybody else agrees, let me know. I can also adjust my microphone here too. Let's see here. No, I can't. So I'll just move it up some. Hopefully this is a little bit better. Yeah, so I recently redid my studio a little bit here, and I moved my mic around. So, Matt, let me know if that's any better. There's Left 4 Dead Fett. Good to see you. Christian, no. Do you guys take a helmet into the store to test out different toilet? No, I just wing it, but I know it's.
I thought about it, but I didn't.
No, excuse me, miss. I need to set this on here briefly.
I would have done it, but then I suddenly realised I still needed to know to be able to test it on the shelf in the detail cabinet. So I thought, no. Okay. Believe it or not, I do sometimes take action figures to the store with me when I'm looking at buying paint and do this with the paint next to it. And is that right? But I do still get some funny looks.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt said there was a lot of background echo. It's much better. Okay, I'll have to figure out what's going on with that because I'm in a closed loop here, so I'm not sure what's going on, Matt. But thank you. So Luke, we kind of got off track there. So you started off actually building a suit, which got you into the helmets. Now I can look behind you and see that you went for it. How many helmets do you have?
Currently, I have 14 helmets, obviously 12 in the cabinets, and I have a couple scattered around the room, wherever I can find a space, really. But currently 14.
14. And what we talked about this a little bit before we're going on. Are you planning on getting more? Because you look like you're running out of space.
Yeah, well, I've pre-ordered Bo-Katan, which so I'm going to say no, but yes. So yeah, the problem is obviously space, and the concern is now, as much as I love my cabinets, and we've only been moved in this property maybe almost 3 years, and the second I knew that I was going to have a room that I could dedicate to my sort of things. Straight away, I knew these are the cabinets I wanted. I'd seen them in other people's displays. I knew they were what I wanted. Immediately went and got them, put them on display, loved them straight away, still do. But that was sort of 3 years ago, and a lot's happened in here in 3 years. Every other ounce of space has now gone. Every wall has been shelved top to bottom, and the only wall that is left is the wall where my detail stands. So the hard truth is they may well go this year. Simply to shelve out that whole wall. Now, the helmets will be housed on that wall still, but they should only take up maybe 2 or 3 shelves, and I could probably get about 6 shelves on that wall, which would obviously leave 3 shelves empty for more displays. However, I'm convinced they will not look anywhere near as good, which is what is sort of making me think I need to think of something else, because I just don't think they'll display anywhere near as nicely. But that is the hard sort of truth at the moment. Because display, they're so big, display space is very difficult. As you know, Paul.
Same problem back here. So you have the door open on one of yours, Luke, but so that's an optical illusion. You have 3 of the details, correct?
Yes, 3. Yeah, sorry, they're all the doors are open. So that one's reflected, isn't it? There.
Sorry, yeah. Okay. I couldn't tell if you had added it. So what are you going to do with those glass cabinets if you take them out of the room?
Well, I think they'll probably sell pretty quickly. I don't think they'll go anywhere else. I don't think Rachel would want to accommodate them anywhere. Connor possibly would want them in his room, but again, space. I don't think they'd go anywhere. So they'll probably just be sold.
So for you guys that are in the UK that are watching right now, keep an eye on Luke's channel, and as soon as you see those helmets going to shelf, stand outside his front door because
if you want them, and I'll leave the lights in as well. The lights will come with them.
Oh, that's nice of you. Okay, well, stay tuned. Luke, I know this is I asked you this question last time. Everybody asks me this question, and I just have a pat answer for it because at the end of the day, they all are. But what's your most prized helmet, the one you'd have to keep, and why?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer to that one would be my Stormtrooper, my Imperial Stormtrooper helmet, purely because my armor is useless without it. However, if there was a house fire tomorrow and I could only grab one, it would be this one, the Inferno Squad.
Oh, okay.
Purely for 2 reasons, really. One, that I also put together an Inferno Squad outfit for cosplay, which again I believe I sent you, Paul, and again I made that one. So a lot of work went into that one to keep it for myself. So I think I would probably grab that because I just love the black and red. I think the black and red works brilliantly well. And I love the asymmetrical sort of design. You know, the hand painting on one side and not the other, and the different decals on each side. So yeah, yeah, that was at a Comic-Con that I attended. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It wasn't on a set of steps. Just we'd gone outside of the event to take some photos.
I'm dying over here. You crack me up. So I will. You know what? Actually, let's do this one. This one, I thought this was a really cool photograph of the set or the costume. Excuse me. This is you with our man Boba Fett.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was really. Yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day. It was a place just sort of 20 minutes up the road from me, Scarborough Comic-Con. It was a really good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, Luke, if I was to do a costume, as I figured out the hard way, because I have a full set of armor, I'd have to do something like this, because for some strange reason, the thigh pieces are never big enough. They don't make them big enough for me.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's funny you should say that, Paul, because the Stormtrooper kit that I got, I had to cut everything down, barring the thigh pieces. I left them completely as they came. Everything else I had to cut to make them smaller. The torso, the calves, everything. But I left the thigh out, and they're still not quite big enough. I really struggled to get them on. I've played a lot of football over my time, so I have quite big legs. And the thigh armor is still extremely tight when I wear it. So I'm looking at getting an extension kit, but I just think it kind of spoils the look of them a little bit with the extension kit on. But I would probably have to do that.
Yeah, Matt puts it well. There's nothing more body shaming than putting on Stormtrooper armor. Oh my god!
Yeah.
When I put mine on too, I'm like, I don't understand why the stomach plate is so far out here. Isn't this supposed to be in more? I don't understand. And Casey wants to know if you're coming to LA for Celebration.
If only.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, that would be awesome. Let's see here. So you would, bar none, the choice is either the Stormtrooper helmet, so you can continue to keep the outfit, or the
I think the reason why I would pick the Inferno, like I say, I worked on it. I worked on the Stormtrooper helmet, but not in the same way. And I just love the helmet itself. And if I'm going to be totally honest, a bit like what we just said, the outfit is easier to wear. It's more comfortable. You've only got the chest armor. Everything else is like a flight suit. So it's just much easier to wear and move around. And if I do any more cosplay in the future, which I don't think I will, I kind of feel that I've done that now. And but if I did, I would make sure I choose an outfit that is not armor top to bottom. You know, for example, I'd love to do a Shore Trooper outfit, because it's sort of you've got no thigh armor, you've got no sort of anything restricting, or maybe the Biker Scout, something like that. So I mean, Stormtroopers are iconic. I absolutely love them. I always have since a kid, and I always wanted a Stormtrooper outfit. But if I was to do it again, I would go something different, just purely for comfort more than anything.
Practicality, for sure.
Yeah,
Dave, you got He-Man legs, Luke.
Yes. You know what? I've always, it's something I say it's always something I've struggled with. Even things like buying jeans. I always used to buy a pair of jeans that was far too big in the waist just so I can get them over my thighs. It was crazy. So I had to get jeans that would still fit over my thighs and then rough them up and put a belt on, and it just looked like a scrunched up pile of paper around my waist.
Oh, and you know what? I have the same problem. Chris makes a good point, though. I think a few of us could bib fat. I could do that one. Bib fat. I'm pretty sure I could do that one. Right. Yeah, I'd have to do a couple of sit-ups to get down to that, but we'll see. So, Luke, the next question I have for you is one that I get a lot, and my answer to this question is usually kind of complex, because people are like, "Where do you get those helmets?" And I think people who aren't really into helmet collecting or don't know a lot about it, or are kind of novices, they don't mean any harm. But I think there's a lot of people out there that believe there is this secret helmet emporium that we go to, where only certain people know. But for me, the fact of the matter is, helmet collecting is more the hunt than it is the get. Yeah. But where are you getting most of your helmets, Luke?
Well, I mean, I'm very reluctant, not just with helmets, with anything, to order from overseas. So obviously, I try to do everything in the UK. I mean, mainly virtually my whole collection is either from eBay or the private seller that we were sort of buying the cast from. Everything else is from either eBay or Black Series. So I mean, obviously, I've ordered a few from places like Star Action Figures, but I did look on Etsy. In fact, I've been looking on Etsy again recently, sort of because you recommended it, Paul. But no, mainly eBay. But obviously, you've got to be very, very careful. New Image Prop Replicas are a UK-based company. They do some outstanding stuff, but I've only ever ordered sort of trinket pieces, if you like, sort of what I would call things like the aerators for Stormtrooper helmets and things like that, decals, eye lenses. I've never actually ordered a helmet, but I know they are very, very good. So yeah, mainly eBay, but you've got to be so careful. Before Black Series came out, anyway, I got burned a couple of times, and yeah, and quite well, basically the images that they used were like stock images. It turned up in fact. The first order Stormtrooper helmet that I ordered, the stock image on the listing was literally, I'm not saying it wasn't an Anovos version, but it looked like it.
Right.
But it was a stock image.
Right.
And I emailed the guy, I said, look, is this this is a sort of download, it looks like a downloaded image. Is this the helmet that I'm going to receive? You know, is it identical to your listing picture? Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to receive. And then when it came, it was a half helmet, so it was a mask in essence. There was no back to it. And the lenses were mesh rather than actual lenses. And I was like, oh my God. So obviously I got my money back and everything, but
good.
You've got to be so careful. Yeah.
I agree. So we actually talked about this in depth on our last Dome Pieces live stream. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. I went through almost all the companies that I had been through. And it was like Black Series. We talked about New Image, Anovos, the new Anovo, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Brandford Studios, all kinds of Etsy shops that I've tried. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Luke, because and I'm not talking poorly about the shop, because if you see my videos, he did a great job of taking care of me. But I ran to a company called Galaxy Toys, and I got 2 helmets from him, and one of them was the Combat Assault Tank Driver over here, and it's great. But he accidentally sent me an ICAT troop helmet. And when you look at it, I'm going to make myself big for just a second here, Luke, because I want to show you what you have to be aware of. So if you look at this helmet, it's good quality, nice, hard, sturdy. It's completely done up on the inside. The back is so accurate, but look very carefully at the brow. Do you see the visor up here is like a good half-inch pushed back? That's not even close to screen accurate. So when you're dealing with these companies, especially, I think, like the Etsy shops, you got to ask a lot of questions and everything. Because obviously I got this because I didn't know he was sending it. Otherwise, I would have known and not bought it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but for a full comprehensive overview of companies and stuff like that, I highly recommend checking out Luke and I's other Dome Pieces, because I think I went nuts on there, didn't I, with the companies?
You did. I remember thinking I know nothing clearly when you were doing that.
Well, that's because you're craftier and more industrious than I am. You've made or tracked down your helmets, whereas I'm just
using
my credit card overseas. So.
Let's say thrifty. I'm a bit unthrifty. Let's say that.
Oh,
but I do actually, just if you don't mind, Paul, I do have a bit of a. I think I say it's funny. It's kind of embarrassing, but I just think it's worth sharing that when I was sort of getting into helmet collecting, early on, I wanted straight away. Obviously, I wanted a Boba Fett helmet. Mm-hmm. Well, this was before Black Series, and I think Black Series maybe just started, but obviously we didn't get the Boba Fett helmet till like 2019 maybe. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking probably 2015, 2016, desperately searching for a Boba Fett helmet. Now, Rachel, for my birthday, was very nice and bought me this. Now, obviously, this isn't a screen accurate helmet.
What? How? Where? Point it out.
Beauty of. Oh, sorry.
Just kidding.
So you can see.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was lucky enough to get this signed. Now, this was the only Boba Fett helmet I'd had at the time, and Jeremy Bullock was appearing at York Comic Con, so I managed to get that signed. Mm-hmm. But of course, once I'd done that, I kind of wanted something a bit more screen accurate, and like I say, Black Series weren't around, so I jumped onto eBay and to Etsy, and I found this. And this was a guy that he was making them himself. So this is a custom build, and I found this.
That's beautiful.
And obviously, he's sort of put a bit of padding. It's not obviously brilliant, but it works really well. Mm-hmm. And the colours, I love the blue on the back, and you got the kill stripes just going into the orange. So I bought that, and it was a great price. I think I paid maybe £140 for that.
Wow.
And the strange thing about this is when I received it, I look at it now, when I've just shown it on screen, I look at it now and I think, it's a fantastic looking helmet. Yeah. And for some reason, when I received it, I wasn't impressed with it. I don't know why. This
Okay.
is true, totally true. I have no idea why. I don't know. I don't know what I thought I was going to get, but I wasn't impressed. And I contacted the guy and said, look, it isn't quite what I thought it was going to be. To this day, I'm not quite sure what I thought it was going to be. But I got in touch with him. I'm not quite sure it's what I thought it was going to be. Do you mind if I return it and get a refund? And I thought he was going to tell me where to go. Really nice
Right,
guy.
yeah.
Because there was no real reason for the return. If that made it wasn't damaged. It wasn't damaged. I just kind of didn't like it. Anyway.
Okay.
So he was really nice. It's sent it back. He gave me a full refund. And then the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, I carried on searching. And I remember after about 3 weeks of searching, going,
Oh no!
I should have kept that because it was by far better than anything else I've seen. I was like, why? There's nothing else anywhere near that. Why did I say so? With my tail between my legs, I emailed him again and sort of said, I know I sent it back and I said I wasn't happy with it, but any chance I can have it back?
Oh my God! Was he nice about it?
He was. I mean, he really was. He came back to me and sort of said, look, I've still got it. I haven't done anything with it. It's sat on the side. I'll send you it back, but you will obviously have to pay more postage. I'm like, look, it's fine.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I got it, wasn't happy with it, sent it back, and then bought it back again.
So, Luke, there's nothing, for being a thrifty guy, there's nothing like paying for postage twice on a helmet, right?
Honestly. But it just became so apparent that there was nothing else out there. I was like, it was actually a really good helmet. What was I thinking? So yeah, I bought that twice in essence.
Good job. That's a fun story. You didn't tell me that last time. That's awesome.
No.
Oh, hey, Mark over at Blue Harvest has a question for you. Are you going to Scarborough Comic Con?
You know what? I don't think I am. Because it's Echo at the beginning of April, isn't it? So I think all my money and everything else will be going there. So no, I'll probably give Scarborough Comic Con a miss this year.
Okay. Let me see here. Oh yeah. So Matt, Rex and Around did a great room. Samolev Art are in Russia, and they're one of the few companies from Russia that I would actually order from. They do, right. But they're weird. When you go to their site, it always shows out of stock. You got to follow their social media, and like right. they're and they will tell you we're going to be open for sales in 3 days. And they've made all these helmets, and they'll put them up, and they go, these 50 helmets are ready to go. And then people buy them, and then they go back down again, and they make them in waves. So if you're going to buy from Samoylev, you got to pay. But their helmets are class. They're good quality. Right. I don't have any, but I've seen nothing but good things about them. Rick, do tinfoil helmets count, Luke?
Yes, why not?
Oh, so I'm a little behind in the chat. So Connor's like, wow, that's I'm jealous too, especially since Mr. Bullock unfortunately passed. So yeah,
and he was, and I know everyone sort of says the same thing for obviously because it's true, but he was just a lovely guy as well. And I spent about an hour queuing. Connor stood with me while we were queuing, and I said to him while we're in the queue, we need to think of a great question for you. Right. Question. We're never going to meet this guy again. We need to think of a great question. What do we want to ask about Boba Fett? And we couldn't think of anything. And then I turned into a pile of mush on the floor when we actually met and spoke to him. But what was great was he came around the front of the table, he took pictures, he signed the helmet, nice. There was no entourage pushing you on once you sort of had your time. And so it was brilliant, really was.
I'd heard Mr. Bullock was a class act and a good person.
Really was. But that's the story behind that. But I just turned into a mess when I got in front of it. It literally was, yeah.
So we're just going to get this out of the way because anytime Luke and I start talking about helmets, people talking about polishing helmets, and everybody turns into Beavis and Butthead. So Mark was do you need your helmet? Luke and I are in here polishing our helmets together.
No, Rachel generally takes care of that.
By the way, I watched USR yesterday, and you said that I'd win in the polishing helmet because I'm older, and I've been doing it longer. I caught that. I don't want to hear about it.
You were lurking in the chat.
Yeah. No, I had to watch it on the replay because I wasn't home.
Oh, right.
So,
okay.
No. Yeah, are you kidding? I would have given you and Vintage Dave a hard time.
It was absolutely in the best possible taste, Paul.
I almost thought you were going to say it was absolutely fantastic.
I tried to avoid it.
Yeah. So, one of the other questions I get a lot, Luke, and there's actually kind of two related questions. People ask me, Paul, do you have any 3D printed helmets? And up until recently I had, and I only have one. And what are your helmets made of? So I want to go with you, Luke, first, and I'll talk about mine afterwards. What are your helmets made of?
up until recently, I had one 3D printed helmet, which I've now moved on. However, it was a really good example. But most of my helmets are Black Series, so obviously it's just standard whatever plastic that Hasbro are using. But the custom helmets are a 2-part resin, and they're really solid. They do need a little bit of prep when you get them raw, but they're nice and solid. So yeah, we've got two. Let me think. So the Attack Driver and the Inferno Squad are 2-part resin. This one, I believe this one's fiberglass.
It looks like it.
The custom one, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, and the rest are Black Series, so they're just plastic.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about a helmet you don't have anymore. You used to have a 3D printed Scout Trooper helmet. Talk a little bit about that and where that went.
Yeah, well, I was struggling to find a good Biker Scout helmet. I'll be totally honest, at the time, I didn't want to pay £250 to New Image Prop replicas at the time because we were just in the process of buying a house. Sure. But I was desperate to have one. And then I found on eBay, that was a free printed, but it came as a kit again, 3 parts. Got everything you needed, put it all together, and I studied the images. And I don't know how you do it, Paul, but generally what I do when I'm looking at helmets and trying to decide if I think that they're accurate enough and that they look how I want them to look, I generally collage pictures of screenshots from the movies and then put them next to what I'm looking at buying, and I do sort of front image, side profile, back, and then I literally just compare them side by side. And when I looked at the finished article on the images, I thought, you know what, that looks really good for a 3D printed helmet. So I bought it, painted it up, got all the decals on, etc. There was a couple of things that weren't quite screen accurate, but once I put it on display, I actually thought it looked stunning.
Yeah.
And then possibly a couple of years later, the snob possibly came out in me because I used to look at my collection, and even though I loved how it looked, I was like, you kind of don't fit. And when you get up close, you can see the strands in the plastic, and it just wasn't. So in the end, I kind of became a little bit, I don't like you, even though it was lovely. It was a great helmet, it was a great helmet. But I looked at it and I looked at everything else and I said, I'm falling out of love with you a little bit because you're not what I want you to be. So so that's where the idea came from. I just thought, you know what, but it is a great piece for a giveaway. I'm sure somebody would love to have it. And like I said to you at the time, in my head, it would motivate me to get a better one if I lost that one. Because while I looked at my collection, and even though it wasn't quite the quality I wanted it to be, if I had one in my collection, I was convinced I wouldn't get another one. So I thought to myself, if I get rid of it, then I'll go out and buy it, and I haven't done.
That was going to be my next question.
And I haven't done yet, because the minute I get a decent chunk of money, it goes on other things at the moment. And also because I'm very aware that helmet space, I have none. So it's a little bit one out, one in at the moment, which I don't know. I don't know what to do. So
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, that was my next question. What's your plan? Do you have one?
I don't. I'm stressing. I have another Detolf case that's still in the boxes underneath the bed in the spare bedroom. I don't want to add any more Detolf cases here because then I'd have to move that guy. And there's another statue right here that's made out of armor that you can't see. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, Luke, because I have three en route right now, and I've got one down in here on the floor. I just showed you, and the one behind me over my shoulder right here. So, and as you can see, this is packed. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But to piggyback off of your point, I remember you showing me up close last time, or at some other times. You could see the lines in your Scout Trooper. Great helmet, don't get me wrong, but you could see the print lines. And because of that, you just kind of reaffirmed. I've always been really reluctant to buy 3D prints off the internet. Plus, I've heard like the material SLA or whatever it's called will eventually break down over time. But one of my latest helmets, I just did a video on it. If you're interested in depth, is this Bo-Katan back here. Okay.
It's a great helmet as well.
So that came from a company called the Empire Essentials. And if you go to their Etsy shop, half their helmets, they're not bad. I just don't like the way they weather them, like the Stormtroopers. It looks spray painted on, and the other half are awesome. So I studied that helmet for like 3 months, looked at a bunch of different pictures, researched them in Facebook groups, and kind of lurked like I do. And I thought, you know what? For the price, I'm going to try a 3D printed helmet. And I pulled the trigger. Now, one funny thing and one good thing. When I got the helmet in, I was absolutely blown away by the quality. Like I said, there's some in-depth, up-close look at it on the video that I did for it.
Yeah, I've seen the video. It's a great video.
Yeah, I got a little bit of texture on it, and you can tell it's been airbrushed in places, but it's well beyond acceptable and looks great. Very screen accurate. 2 weeks later, Black Series announced their Bo-Katan helmet. So because I'm an idiot, I'm like, I'm buying that one too. So now I have that one coming out. I'm doing a comparison video. So I guess the advice that both Luke and I can give you when you're looking at buying 3D printed helmets, because there's resin cast, 3D printed, and then the manufactured one is, if you're going to buy a 3D print helmet, get lots of close-up pictures, ask the seller lots of questions, do a lot of research. You don't want to fall out of love with your helmet. Am I right, Luke?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's one of those as well, because when I got it, and obviously you can see the strands in the plastic, the initial instinct was sort of sand it, try and smooth it out as much as you can. But of course, because it's quite thin, you almost end up going through it. If you try and sand the strands, flush, you can just go through it. So it's very, very difficult to prepare a 3D helmet yourself and get it to look without the strands. Very difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very difficult to get rid of them altogether. Sorry.
No doubt. Yeah, no, 3D printing is a hit or miss. I've seen some beautiful ones. Andy and Josh over at Holochronicles have a 3D printed Boosh helmet that looks like it was built by Lucasfilm. It's just phenomenal. And then some of them, no offense to your Scout Trooper helmet, some of them you get them, you can see the print lines. It just depends. So Luke, JT has a question. Luke and Paul, there are many helmets we love. Out of all the helmets in the Star Wars universe, which is the one you least like?
Oh, I weren't expecting that.
That's a good question.
I was expecting the best. Yeah, least. Oh God.
I already know mine. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll probably get some hate for this, but I'm going to pick. I've got one purely because I think it would be horrendous to wear.
Okay.
That would be my choice. Not that I don't like the look of it. I just think it would be horrible to wear.
Who?
That's the Imperial Gunner.
Oh, the Imperial Gunner. Really?
It just looks like it would be horrendously uncomfortable to wear. The way the front piece sort of comes up and
Oh yeah, that's the one with the okay.
Yeah.
Weird. So I too am going to just stick to the Imperial helmets because the Rebel helmets never really did it for me. The one that I like the least, people ask me all the time, Paul, why don't you have one of these in your collection? And I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Believe it or not, Luke, it's the Snow Trooper helmet I like the least because there's so little detail on it.
Whoa! I can see that. I can see that, but I love them. But I can see it. Yeah, because in essence, the helmet is just to the eyes, isn't it? And then it's I get that.
It's a cereal bowl, a set of goggles, and a handkerchief. Yeah, I'm like,
I'll see you later, Christian. I think Christian said he's going, Paul.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Okay, thanks, Christian.
I'm only joking, Paul. His favorite is the Snow Troopers.
Oh, like you, I know I'm gonna get hate for this. The comments on this are gonna be great.
But no, I mean, I love the Snow Trooper, but I get what you're saying because it's kind of not really a full helmet, is it?
Yeah, no. It's
but does that fall in the same category as is it the Snow Trooper Commander where his visor is solid, isn't it? When you see him in the ATAT. Talking to General Veers, the commander should be, and that's a solid piece, isn't it, rather than like a cloth?
Yeah.
So would you class that as the same?
I would. I'll tell you that's even worse because here's the thing: when I'm thinking about what helmets, Christian, I'm raging so much I can't wait to go. So here's the deal: when I'm thinking about helmets, I have to think like you, Luke. Back me up on this. We have to think about displayability. Where in the Jimi Hendrix am I going to put a helmet that's 6 feet tall in my collection? You know what I mean? It just doesn't go.
It would be difficult to display. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, here we go. Matt's like, I'm unsubbing you. Christian's like, excuse yourself for the remainder of the stream. KC, Snow Trooper commanders are solid, hard to move around in. Fair enough. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, good point.
So Hawkspot has another good question here. Does anyone know the quality of the helmets made by Cybercraft? They look like they have a pretty cool selection. So, Luke, are you familiar with the Cybercraft?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So I've looked at these immensely, and I will tell you that they look the quality. And when I say the quality of the helmet, I mean how sturdy it is, what it's made out of, and things like that. They look good, Hawkspot. But I will tell you, the actual decor on the helmet and the proportions. Something's a little off on them and they look a little cartoonish or toyish to me. Now, that's not to say that they're bad. That's, if you're not worried about that, then by all means, I've heard good things about them and people like them. But if you really study the helmets, they look a little off to me. Try and see, like Luke said, he collages pictures from the screen and the actual helmet and look at the differences. And by the way, you collect how you want to collect. If you look at that helmet and you're like, I see this little difference, I don't care, I love it, then get it, bro. Get it.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, let's come on down here. Yeah, VTR. 3D printed helmets will only improve in quality as the printers improve, and that's where
absolutely. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So Dave makes more of a point. You know, I finally broke down and decided to get that Bo-Katan because the technology is like this.
So on the Bo-Katan helmet, then, Paul, I'm assuming can you not see any strands in the plastic? Is it just smooth and flush?
It's not smooth and flush, but there's no strands. It's more of almost like a very, very light texturing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Get that.
Yeah, and you can see it in the video. I'm too lazy to go get it, but yeah. But it's not smooth. Like your Boba Fett helmet is shiny and it looks like you can ice skate on it, whereas this one looks like it's just slightly textured. So
right.
Yeah. But yeah, Matt's more, the Cybercraft, more of almost an animated look, but not quite. They're just like it's almost like got a knockoff look. And then Matt says, hey, had a gunner helmet. Luke loads the room inside, had a digital clock fixed inside to see the time.
Oh, wow. Always going that extra mile, Matt. Always going that extra mile. I always think just the way it comes up and under at the bottom, that it must be quite difficult to get your sort of chin in. And I don't know. Obviously, I've not worn one, so.
Neither have I. Luke, I know Matt fairly well, but I think you know him better than I do. Is he messing with us? Did he really put a digital clock in there?
No, I'm sure he did. I think he's definitely. I can imagine him doing that. He's pretty good with things like that. I've seen some of his outfits that he's done in the past as well. They're exceptional. So I can see him doing it.
All right. Well, good for you, Matt. Yeah, Matt's just weird enough to do that, and that's why we love him. So, so Luke, I think one of the things that we also talk about when we're talking about helmets is, let's just be honest, it ain't like collecting. Well, not vintage figures, but modern figures. It ain't like collecting modern figures because these things, the cheapest, 100, 150, all the way up to like $700-$800. What's your most expensive helmet and why? And what's your least expensive helmet and why? So you can get like
yeah. Well, I mean, I obviously again, like a lot of people, I'm on a budget, so I've got to get. I've always said, like anything in my collection, I've got to get whatever it is I'm buying. I've got to try and get as good a quality as I can for as cheap as I can. So my most expensive helmet, believe it or not, is where am I pointing there? The Anovos. It's my only Anovos helmet, First Order Stormtrooper. I got that on the secondary market. I paid £200 for that. So that is my most expensive, believe it or not, because that's still very cheap for a 1.1 scale helmet. My cheapest one, believe it or not, the cheapest one is. Does it count if I didn't pay for it?
Yeah, it absolutely counts. The free is the cheapest. Yeah.
So if that's the case, then I've got a few cheap ones.
Cheater.
My cheapest. In fact, I'll grab it. Because I got this for a Christmas present off my brother.
Okay. Get a nice rear end shot of Luke there, everybody. Take it in. While he can't hear us because he's got his headphones out. And then I was just saying nothing but really intelligent things, Luke, while you're.
So, yeah. Did I just show my butt then?
It was beautiful. Don't you guys over there? You call it your bum, don't you?
Your bum. So the cheapest helmet, which was a gift from my brother, is this one.
So that's funny that your AT-AT helmet is your cheapest. What is that, a 3D print? Who made that?
No, this is the 2-part resin cast that we got from the supply that we started to use. Wow. We got this as a cast, and I pretty much did the rest. So it's not completely screen accurate. We struggled to get the right greeblies. Which, where's my finger? There. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They should be different just there.
Oh, I forgot.
And sorry, and these sections they're not quite screen accurate either. But to say it was completely free and I did the work myself, I'm pretty pleased with it.
That is just absolutely fantastic, Luke. I can't believe you guys do such good work like that. It's brilliant.
So in fact, it's even got the arrow on the back, which is just a nice touch.
Yeah, mine doesn't have that. So I'll talk about mine in just a second, but I wanted to point out, this is why I love my buddy KC. He and a bunch of the guys in the 501st are so close to the production of the TV shows that he gets things like this. Their buddy Ray, who's also a friend of mine, his gunner helmet was used in The Mandalorian. It's actually pretty spacious. Wow. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I say I've never worn one. It's just when I see them on screen, I just look and I think they can't be comfortable to wear. But
right. So Matt said, no, he's not messing around. You gotta love Pete. Did Did you have a supply of emergency strawberries inside, Matt? Oh, more inside jokes. Oh, let's see here. And then, of course, Dave's got a point. How else would you tell the time in Star Wars? No one wears watches in that universe. So, yeah. Let's go on in here. Christian actually likes the First Order Snowtrooper helmet. I'm not going to lie. Except for the basic Stormtrooper First Order helmet, I don't like any of the rest of them, Luke. And I know I'm going to get hate for that. What did you think of the First Order helmets?
Well, personally, again, when I first saw the Stormtrooper, I loved it instantly because one of the things I thought when they brought out the sequels was what are they going to do with the Stormtroopers? And it was one of the first scenes on the trailer when I saw it. And instantly, I loved what they did. I just think the way they adapted the frown to sort of elongate up the side, and I think they obviously kept it very, very. You can see where the influence of the original Stormtrooper helmets had come from, and then they'd adapted it. So I love those.
Yeah, but like the Snowtrooper and some of the other ones. And
I didn't mind them. I thought the TIE pilots were quite nice, especially the ones with the red teardrop sort of effect coming down. The things like the flame troopers and stuff, I thought they looked maybe a bit just with a sort of line across there, and I thought they looked a little bit iffy. But I didn't hate them. Okay. But for me, if I had to pick a First Order helmet, it would be the Stormtrooper. So
yeah, fair. That's the only one I have from the First Order is the Stormtrooper.
But I would have a First Order TIE Fighter. I do like those, I've got to admit.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Really quick. There's my brother Alan, who always supports me.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah, he's the one that gets on, and I love having him on because he's hilarious. But anyway, so actually, Tree's got a question here, Luke, and I'll let you go first since you didn't like my advice. He wants to know if there's any advice on lighting for displays, Luke.
My advice is use Paul's display lighting. No, I mean, it basically it's down to personal choice. I mean, I fully intended to use the LED strips like Paul. And then my OCD kicked in, and everywhere else, I would move my camera and show you actually, but I'm worried because my camera's a bit iffy at the moment. But everywhere else in the room, I have the puck lights, which you can see in the cabinets, and they work really well because they just light the shelves just enough to give a really nice effect where you can see everything, but not so much that when you put all the lights on, the room is like And the idea was that I needed brighter lights in the cabinets because I wanted the helmets to be seen properly. But obviously, so I went for the pucks again. Now, the pucks obviously don't light it as consistently as the LED strips because you can put them all around the cabinets and get even lighting all the way down. As you can see, I've got the puck lights on the top row and then on the third row. So the second row and the fourth row don't obviously get as much light. Personally, I quite like that effect, but it depends. If you want a completely even lighting from top shelf to bottom shelf, I would do what Paul's done with the LED strips. If you quite like the idea of having a little bit of a gradient, so like you can see my top shelf is very bright, and I use the white and chrome helmets on the top purposely because they reflect it really well, and the darker ones underneath. Obviously, your second row and your bottom row aren't going to be quite as bright as the top and the third, but I kind of like that gradient. However, I only did that because my OCD kicked in and I wanted puck lights the same as the rest of the room. I actually prefer, personally, how Paul does it.
So, Luke, before I talk about mine, cords. How did you keep it from looking like spaghetti?
I've managed. It's not you can't see it. You can't see it in the back, so. The top lights, I've managed to. There's a hole in the top of the shelf in the details, as you'll know, Paul. So obviously the wires go through the top, and then I've managed to. I've put some cable ties at the back of the shelves, right on the edge of the top piece of the wood, and run the wires all the way along the back of the top edge, so you can't see them. Whereas on the sort of third row, I've had to run the wire. Obviously, there's it's all glass there, so you've got to be careful there. So I've run the wire all the way across the back of the shelf, but then across the back line. So if you get down and look into that third row, you can see the wires. But when you stood looking, you can't. And then, like you, Paul, I've then run the wire down the. I want to say the cage, like the inside cage where they have. So I've run the wires down the back of that, and then I've drilled my own hole in the bottom of the base of the cabinets, and then out onto the floor and across. So if you were to sort of scooch down and look in directly into the sort of third row, you would see the wires. But when you stood looking at them, stood up, you don't see them. So it is a little bit messy if you were to sort of get right down and look at the back, but they're hidden with other things. So
right. So per DTOF, estimate on the amount of time it takes to use your method for one shelf.
It took a while, to be fair.
You think like a half hour per shelf? An hour?
Probably half hour. It took me a good few hours to do it all. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with saying I really like Luke's display. That gradient is really cool. But I started off differently than Luke. For me, and by the way, once again, like everything else here, I have a video on how I did this. It's one of my earliest ones, and so it's not as cool as my newest ones. But I used rolled tape of LEDs that you can dim. They have a dimmer switch at the bottom of them. And what I did is I laid the shelf down and I taped, I drilled a hole just like Luke did at the bottom for the power cord to come out underneath. And then I taped inside these DTOFs, there is like a cage, as Luke described it. I taped the LEDs to the inside so that they're kind of at an angle towards the helmets, up and then across and then down. And then you just snip. And then you can turn it back. You turn it back up, and then you obviously can control the dim. Now, if you look behind me right now, they're at probably 25% because they'll get really bright, but I wanted it to be a little bit more muted. And the good news is, with very few exceptions, you can't really see the LEDs except for where you go across the top here. And then I plugged them all into a light power strip, and I plugged that power strip into the outlet on the wall that it works by the light switch. So I just turn them off and on like this really fast once I have the dimmer switch set to where I want. So for me, 10 minutes, 15 if you're going really slow because you're fat and it's hard to get down on the ground. So like I said, I did a video Luke's way. And once again, as Luke mentioned, Tree, it basically comes down to what you're looking for and what look you're going for. So there's two totally different ways you can do it. And there's probably, mine aren't colored. They're just white. There's 500,000 other ways you could do it too. Am I right, Luke?
Yeah. Can you change your colors, Paul, or are they just straight up solid white and you're not color changing?
So so here's the thing. The lights in the cabinets are just white because I knew I would never display anything but white. There is a USB powered, a USB rechargeable professional photography light up here that I used to, because you can see the light coming from it, but it sits up top and I just turn it on and it goes RGB and flashes and done a bunch of stuff. You'll also see that there's kind of a blue hue on a lot of my helmets. That's because right above my head up here, I have a blue photography light that I point at them. And over here, you can actually see the reflection. See my finger when I go by it in the Phase 2 helmet? There's a red photography light that I put right here. Now, you don't have to have that. I have a bunch of that stuff because this is also where I film my YouTube videos and I want them to look good. So I have and then behind the amplifier back here, there's another LED strip that changes colors. And then I have other cool effects and stuff. But all you really need is those white LEDs inside. But I have all this other stuff too, because this is also my YouTube studio. So JT, that Royal Guard helmet does look good. Let's get on down here. Thank you very much. Tree, you didn't have to pay for the advice. Thank you for lighting Inside Gentlemen. Please hit like and share. And thank you very much for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Very nice of you. Yeah. All the money that I get, Luke, just goes right back. I'm going to do member giveaways and stuff like that. So all that money that I get just goes right into a separate account for those kind of things. Thank you very much. I didn't even, that's really cool. Someone started doing that on my last live stream and I was like, where did that come from? I don't have that set up. And sure enough, I did. What's JT? Here's an idea for Hasbro or someone, a full-size wearable vintage Kenner Stormtrooper helmet. And I'll only ask for 10% of sing-ins. It's my idea. A vintage Kenner. Oh, yeah. That would be interesting for sure. Yeah. Oh, there's blacked out.
BOE
in the sun. Yeah. See, let's get it out. Everybody get it out of your system. Ma'am says if I polish my helmet more, I'll go black. Get it. Everybody get it out of your system right now. So oh, but this is really cool. Thank you very much, Theodore. I really appreciate that. Luke, you look like you're about to say something, or should I go on to my next question?
You know what? I was about to crack a joke, and I thought better of it.
Well, this is quickly devolving into the Beavis and Butthead stream. So if you're gonna
I was going to say, just remember, Rick, the more you do it, the less special it becomes.
Very, very. I try to leave mine in the case as much as possible so that I can appreciate them and only polish them when they absolutely need it. That's about right, right, Luke?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say so.
So yeah. That joke was absolutely fantastic, Luke. Yeah. So we talked about your most expensive and your least expensive helmets. For me, really quick, Luke, I was buying from Anovos, which is a company we're going to talk about later, when they were still doing business. Now, they long since went out of business, got in trouble, into legal issues and things like that, and they stopped delivering. My most expensive helmets, because I'm stupid, are like this Shore Trooper helmet right here and this Death Trooper. Those ran $700.
So what's that? Are you English pounds? Is that?
It's more than
pounds?
I thought. Yeah, 5. I guess somebody has it. Their thing they can do. And like you talked about your TIE Fighter, or excuse me, your AT-AT helmet. You guys built that, and it looks as good as mine, and it's probably sturdier. Mine up top here, and that TIE Fighter palette. Both of those two that you can see up there, the TIE Fighter is kind of washed out in black, and the AT-AT pilot helmet came from Anovos as well. And before I tell you how much I paid for them, I will tell you that they're very lightweight plastic, and I'm almost scared to touch them. $549 a piece.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
All the way down to the Black Series helmets, which you can pick up for $100. So the point I'm trying to make here is not that I'm bragging, because I really wish when I first started, I knew about all these resources. The point I'm trying to make is when buying helmets, the hunt is more important than the get. Be patient, search, do a lot of research, compare, contrast, look at a bunch of different companies, ask questions in the Facebook helmet groups. And then before you finally click that buy now button, unless it's the Hasbro Black Series, which we can recommend, no problems, get those. But for anybody else, ask a lot of questions. Ask them to send you pictures. If they're a good, reputable third-party dealer, especially on Etsy or eBay, they'll send you pictures and they'll be cooperative. Is that a fair assessment, Luke?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Can I just ask you one question, Paul? When it comes to your Anovos helmet, so you've just talked about how much they cost. So, for example, your AT-AT driver, you get that in your hands and you have a good look at it. Would you, in your opinion, and would you say it warrants that kind of money?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
No. That was a quick answer, not expected.
No, and I will tell you why. Because you just held a helmet that looks exactly like mine, almost, with very, very little difference. For me, I'm only going to display it. I'm not going to wear it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and go for 501st approval. So for me, your helmet that you basically built yourself, had I had the patience, I would have, but I don't, is just as good as mine, and you didn't drop 550 quid on it.
No, quid, yeah.
So
no, thank you. That's very, very, very complimentary.
Yeah, and since this company here, he sells the Shore Trooper helmets and stuff like that, and they're good quality, $200 or $300 for those. I paid $750. You know what I mean? So no, in my mind, for what Anovos was charging, I don't think it was warranted.
No, it is. The Shore Trooper, by the way, is something I am desperate to get into my collection.
Yeah. So Galaxy does this with their Shore Trooper helmet, though. So be careful if you get one from them. Make sure he knows that the visor has to be out. So but So first of all, I want to say hi to Wizzy Wiz really quick. There's good to see him. What's up, Paulie? And then see, Matt has the same thing. He's got a Mando from Anovos, 650, but it's fiberglass. So mine's plastic, and it came from Black Series, $125. And for what I'm doing with it, it's perfect. To give you here's another example, really fast, Luke, and then we'll move on. I don't mean to keep talking so much.
No, please.
I had that Anovos first order Stormtrooper helmet. Remember? Yeah, and it's beautiful, and they did a great job on it. As a matter of fact, of their plastic helmets, it's one of the more sturdy. And then I got the Black Series one, and I feel like such a nerd because I paid like $300 for my Anovos one or whatever it was at the time, and I liked the Black Series one better. So I switched them out, and I put the Black Series on display, and I donated the Anovos to the auction where you can also see Andy's burned up Shore Trooper over at Holo Chronicles. So it just
the Black Series version is great with the teeth and just that slightly updated version.
So JT, does Anovos exist anymore? I have a number of their helmets. They were pretty good. We're actually going to hold that topic kind of towards the end because that's a little bit of an explanation. I've been talking a lot, and I want to get back to Luke. But yes and no is whether or not they exist anymore. So Let's get it. There's my partner in crime, Bailey.
Hey, Bailey.
Good to see you. Okay. Christian, I'm working on it. Oh my God, these were overpriced. And anyway, I'm trying to get Paul's Collectibles hats, and I have one. And then, so let's
Shabby
see
has
here.
the other.
Yeah, he has the other. So I ran a contest that no one knew was going on. I bought 2 of them, and I started wearing mine in my videos. And I said, the first person who asks about the hat, I'll send them the second one for free. And I went months, and I thought, well, crap, nobody's interested in my hats. Nobody wants a hat. I guess I'll just end up with 2. And then out of the blue, Shabby finally said, like 6 months in, hey, that's a cool hat, Paul. I'm like, you win. And I sent it to him. Oh, Dave, Vintage Toy Rush, question. What makes a good helmet, and why are some more expensive than others? Luke, you've actually built helmets. Do you want to take a stab at this first?
Yeah, well, I suppose material, in my opinion, is probably what makes them more expensive than others. But for me, what makes a good helmet, and this is just, again, my opinion, accuracy. The first thing I look for is screen accuracy, because I have this. Well, it's not weird, really. I have this thing about, if anybody walks into the room and they look at the helmets, I don't want anyone to look at a helmet and be able to go, that's not right. Just straight away, it's the first thing I think about. So for me, screen accuracy is massively important and makes a good helmet. Mine aren't completely screen accurate by any stretch, but that's the first thing I look for. It's straight away, I collage my pictures and I'm looking, how accurate are they? So for me, what makes a good helmet is screen accuracy.
So, Dave, it's been my experience that the more expensive helmets usually have 2 things going for them. Anovos is my most expensive helmets. They had the actual Lucasfilm Star Wars license. So I think they were banking on that prestige. And number 2, the material that they're made out of. By the way, this is dovetailing into what Luke said. If it's not reasonably screen accurate, it's a waste of time. So assuming it's reasonably or very screen accurate, whether or not they have an actual license, and whether or not it's made out of fiberglass, like the fiberglass helmets are like that Short Trooper helmet. It could almost, if I could see out of it, I could wear it as a motorcycle helmet. It's significant, Luke, as is the Death Trooper.
Yeah.
Or whether it's made out of any number of different types of plastics, like the ones up top, that flimsy plastic, but there's so many greeblies and stuff, they charged $500 for. But my first order Stormtrooper helmet had a higher gauge plastic, but it was not as complex, so it was cheaper. So the unfortunate thing is there's no simple answer, Dave. There's a number of different factors that go into it: material, screen accuracy, license, and up and down the spectrum. So most of the Etsy shops that I've seen that have reputable, decent helmets will sell you a helmet between $230 and about $450 plus shipping and handling, and that's right about, if you're paying $700 to an Etsy shop, I think you're getting taken. And if you're paying $50, you're about to get a half a helmet, like Luke talked about before.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's kind of the best way to describe it, I think. Yeah. And, the Black Series Vader helmet's fantastic to display. I've seen people complain about that. You have that one, don't you?
I do. And it's still very reasonably priced as well. In fact, it's sort of gone down in price the last time I looked. So you can get it cheaper than when it first came out. Yeah, I mean, I can grab it if you... It's quite big, though. Let me just grab it. So let me just put it there for a second. All right, this is quite difficult to handle, but...
Yeah, because that's 3 pieces, right?
It is, yeah. And the only thing that I would say I would have any complaints with, sorry, there we go, is the dome is slightly undersized at the top. But other than that, it is an absolutely superb helmet. Yeah, it comes in 3 pieces. And what I love about it is obviously it's got the trademark breathing. I don't know if the batteries are dead, but it might work. No, the batteries are dead. Oh, hang on.
Oh, there you go.
Is it doing it? No. I think it does 3. But also, and I won't do it because you've got to take it to pieces, but if you take it apart and press the button again, it does the sort of broken breathing when he's talking to Luke and when he's in Jedi, when he's taking his helmet off and he's dying. And yeah, so it's a really cool helmet, and one of the few that seem to be either leveling off in price and sticking around what the RRP was, are actually getting cheaper, which is strange, considering what the Kylo Ren helmet did. Ridiculous.
Oh. Well, you know what happens, Luke, and I think I can add a little bit of information to this. They are currently in stock. the Black Series Darth Vader helmet at like big bad toy store or something. So what happens is, say I did this with my Boba Fett helmet, the original. I didn't buy one, and they released them, and then they sold out. 5 months later, they're $300 and $400 on the aftermarket, and then they re-release them like they just did with and they drop back down on the aftermarket to like $150. So if you need a Vader helmet, the Black Series, Luke, the complaint I hear on that helmet is that faceplate to dome piece ratio is off, and the faceplate's either too big or the dome piece is too.
Yeah, the dome is slightly smaller. It's slightly undersized. There's no denying that. Personally, it's not something that I think it's negligible. I think unless you're an uber geek like we are, I don't think you would notice it. I don't think you'd notice it. But I've got to admit, I think it's a great helmet. Personally, I think the fact it comes in splits apart, and it's a really good helmet.
Do you have a Spaceballs helmet? Dave wants to know.
I do not have a Spaceballs helmet. If that was available, I would be in. Yeah, I would be in if that was available.
I'd get one of those for sure. Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh, you know what? We forget. Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, Christian. Wait, Vader dies. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't have the Darth Vader one because my collection focuses mostly on the troopers and the people down in the trenches. So, if you want to see overviews or pictures of my collection all over the place, I won't waste everybody's time today. But Luke, the next question I have for you, and I don't know how much this applies to you because you've spent most of your time either building or acquiring them from third parties. But do you have a story where you had? I think you might have already mentioned it. Was that your story on a best or a worst vendor, or do you have another one?
I mean, I've been quite lucky that I've not really had too many bad experiences. That was probably the worst one with the First Order Stormtrooper. And that was just as Force Awakens was released, and the secondary market was saturated with Stormtrooper helmets with the blood, with the finger marks dragged down. With the blood. I didn't want that. I just wanted a straight up standard sort of very white and shiny looking helmet. And I emailed the guy and sort of said, look, it's a stock image. Is this what I'll receive? Is this the because when I'm buying helmets, and you may be the same, Paul, I like to see a real picture of the helmet. The helmet in the picture is the helmet I'm going to receive. I don't like these stock images, that have clearly been dragged off the internet. And because if you've got this helmet, why are you not taking a picture of it? So that I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had helmets in the past where I've got them and I've looked at them and I've gone, I'm not quite convinced that's exactly the same as the image pic, but it's close enough. I'm happy. Whereas this one, I'm not quite sure how he thought he'd get away with it. I pulled it out of the box and it was quite literally a half helmet, like a Disney you would get in a Disney kids store. There weren't any eye lenses. It was quite literally a mesh, like a netting across the eyes. I'm not quite sure how he thought I would receive that and be happy with it, but. That was probably my worst experience. My best experience was probably the Anovos First Order Stormtrooper again, because I never thought I would own one. I always admired Anovos helmets, never ever thought I would get one though. One, because of the price, and two, whenever I read about it, I didn't like the idea of you order a helmet from Anovos and you have to wait 12 months. That's always what I read.
12 months if they hurry. I waited like 3 years for some of mine. Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get how they can justify that. I really don't understand how companies can justify that. But again, I got mine on the secondary market, so I got it within a week. But love it. It was better than what I was hoping. And the idea of just owning one Anovos helmet was a bit of a big deal to me. So best. Weirdly, the same helmet was best and worst in a way. Yeah,
no doubt. So you make a good point, Luke, and I want to reiterate this. And you keep saying it, and I've tried to say it as well. If you're going to buy a helmet, other than from Hasbro, if you're buying big bad toy stores, Hasbro, Stormtrooper, you're good to go. But if you're dealing with Etsy or eBay sellers, don't afraid to I don't want to say be rude, but don't afraid to project yourself and be aggressive. Send me pictures, please. Is the picture in hey, can you send me a picture and with you in it so I can tell you actually have that stuff like that. And the guys that I've had no problem, the guys that are actually selling a good quality helmet, no problem. They'll take it on their phone and send it to you right then. If you're looking at stock photos or they don't want to work with you, move on.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just not. I
agree. Yeah.
So if there's any piece of advice, and I think, Luke, you agree with me, dealing with third-party sellers, lots of questions, lots of pictures,
Yeah.
lots of communication. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so we talked about EFX last time. So I won't go into, but they're, as a matter of fact, I think they've gone off the deep end, JT, and they're not even selling, or if they are selling stuff, they're not delivering. I hear. I won't buy anything else directly from EFX anymore. So, because I've never heard anything good lately. So, Luke, I think this might actually be the same answer. But one of the problems with buying these helmets is when you finally commit, you've done all this research, you put all this effort into it, you finally click that buy button, and you just spent $200, $300, $400, $700. So you're really risking yourself out there. Do you have any singular or overall regrets that you can talk about while you were collecting your helmets?
I don't know if I would say regrets. The Boba Fett helmet was I mean, I know I've already mentioned that. That was more embarrassment. I'm not to this day. I'm not quite sure what I thought it was going to be. I looked at the images. I was so happy with the pictures that he showed. He was selling with real pictures, and I looked at all angles. In his description, he explained the color scheme that he was using. It was an ESB color scheme, not Jedi. Exactly how he did it. Everything, and then I received it, and I just weren't quite sure why I didn't like the helmet at the time. Sent it back, embarrassingly, then asked him for it back. So that I can't think of another, and that's not necessarily a bad experience. That's just an embarrassing one. Just a little bit of a lesson learned, because what I should have done when I got the helmet, if I was sat there thinking, well, I'm not quite happy with this, sit it to one side. Let's do some. Can I find a better one? It would only taken me a few hours to look at it and be confident that, you know what, no, I don't think I can find a better one. I'm happy with it. And I got it for a good price. So, yeah, that was an embarrassing moment, really. And I look back now and I just think that was just poor on my part. That was just bad form on my part, really. Because I don't think I could have blamed the guy if he'd have got out of line with me. Certainly, it was very nice when I returned it, and I think, you know, you should have that option for whatever reason if you're not happy with it. Because if you buy something from a store and for whatever reason you're not happy with it, you can return it.
Sure.
I think once I'd done that and he was nice, if then when I came back to him and said, actually, I think I've made a mistake, any chance I can have it back? If he'd have sent me an abusive email back, I don't think I could have complained too much.
Right.
But luckily, he was very nice and just sort of said, look, obviously, you'd have to pay for postage again, but I still have it. You can have it back. So that was probably my worst experience, but on my part, because of me, nobody else.
Right. Well, that counts. That's a regret, having the same helmet tattoo twice.
I regret doing that because I felt a bit of a fool after it.
Mine's pretty quick. I keep using this helmet. If you look on this guy's site, they're pictured like this. But like I said, I didn't look at this one. He sent it to me by accident. And when he sent it, I said, look, I already paid for it. I'll just keep it. Give me a discount on the one I actually wanted and send me that one. And from a space standpoint and from a monetary standpoint, I wish I hadn't have been lazy. I regret not having the energy and the wherewithal to just pack this back up and send it back to him, because I'm not doing anything with this helmet because it's too far off. So I get lazy. And I substitute money for laziness. And I wish I hadn't. I regret not sending that back to that guy going, hey, I just wanted the combat assault, because it's too close to the short trooper helmet anyway, if you ask me. So,
so do you not, what do you intend to do with that, Paul? Do you not intend to move it on, or?
You know what? Maybe I'll do a giveaway on it, but I feel bad because it's blatantly not screen accurate. Maybe I would tell people, hey, if you want to fix this, because I have memberships on my channel now, so maybe I'll do a member giveaway on it or something. But for now, it just sits down here.
I'm sure somebody would want that, though. I think that would be quite desirable to somebody. I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody would.
Yeah, that would be a way for me to put some good karma out into the world to try and make up for all the stuff I did when I was a kid. Look, one of the things that I like about collecting helmets is, the scale and the wow factor when people see them and stuff like that. And you end up, you can make some good memories either having people try them on or say. Do you have a memorable moment in any fashion while you're collecting helmets that just kind of sticks in your head and you're like, this kind of makes collecting these helmets all worthwhile?
Yeah, I mean, it's more the outfit really, as well as the helmet. I mean, this may sound a little bit iffy, but I'm sure you'll know exactly what I mean. When I did wear the Stormtrooper armor and the helmet, the kids' responses when you do sort of like I said, I've done some kids' parties for family and things like that, nieces, nephews. They bring their friends and instantly recognizable, and they just stand there and they're like, even parents want photos with you and stuff like that.
Right.
I just love that. The people walking, whoa, Stormtrooper, and obviously not many people get into this room, I've got to say, but when they do, it's often the helmets that people gravitate to, just because they do have that wow factor, they do have that. But I love seeing kids' faces when I wear the armor and the helmet, personally, and especially when I don't always wear it. It's when I can be bothered. If I want to speak, then sometimes I don't. I just do a silent Stormtrooper. But if I can be bothered to speak, then I use the mic and the static burst, and it just really impresses people. So personally, I love seeing kids' faces and adults' faces when you wear it. So that would probably be what I like the most.
And to dovetail off what you just said, Luke, I think because you and I have been collecting these for so long, I don't want to use the word jaded, but we've gotten used to being around them. And I think you made a very good point there, because we tend to underestimate when people see a fully dressed Stormtrooper and, out on the street, the level of excitement and like wow factor, and you're really making someone's day. So that's a good example.
Yeah, I love it. And a lot of people that walk in and like I say, they always gravitate to the helmets first, and a lot of people have no idea that you can get them. Like you said earlier, they're just like, I didn't realize you can get 1.1 scale Star Wars helmets. And like you say, I think, where can you get them? But now you can get them on eBay. So I'm amazed that people still sometimes don't know they're out there. But they always gravitate. I mean, some of the things that I've got in the room, some of the things you'll have in your room, I've got some other very nice things in here, but it's always those that get the attention. So
I think that's my memorable moment as well, because my wife will have her friends over. Hell, I'll have my friends over. Most of my friends know about this, and she's like, have Paul take you upstairs and show you his Star Wars room, especially if they have kids with them. And my buddy's kids, my wife's friends' kids come in, and the look on their face is like they just walked onto a Star Destroyer. Like, this is and it's so cute. And I have a bunch of pictures. I just put one up on Twitter here recently of the little guys putting the helmets on. It's like half their body size and stuff like that. So those are my memorable experiences. And then of course, when I've just had too much to drink, or I've had enough, just coming here and sitting in the dark and looking at my lit up cabinets and just going to my Zen place, right?
Yeah. Although I did used to play Battlefront with my Stormtrooper helmet on. It just made me feel. It made me feel more in the game. I did do that. It's true.
You know what? I know you're not even kidding, right?
I'm not. I've probably got a photo of it somewhere. I'll send you it.
Oh yeah. JT says Stormtroopers, Daleks, and DeLoreans are crowd magnets for sure. I don't know what's a Dalek or a Dalek. I don't know what
from Doctor Who. Is it Dalek from Doctor Who? Exterminate.
Oh, but here's me getting more hate. I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who. I don't know anything about.
Well, me neither, but I know what Daleks are. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Andy, we're still not Andy, Luke. We're still going to talk about Anovos de new Anovo, because I think it's important to get this information out. But there was one more question that I wanted to ask you, and we've kind of touched upon it, and it's maybe even a repeat. But if it is, I want to reiterate it. If someone says, "Hey, I'm gonna start collecting helmets. I got 30 seconds, Luke. What's the best piece of advice you can give me?" What would that be? The one piece of advice.
Stick to your budget. But don't get drawn into 500, 600, £7 helmets if you cannot afford that money. Because I think it's like anything. Once you start spending more than what you plan to, a hobby can turn into something quite stressful. So just make sure that you stick to your budget. I think that is probably the most important piece of advice in collecting in general, personally. It can become very stressful if you start getting yourself in any sort of financial difficulty. So pick an amount of money that you're happy to spend and stick to it.
That's excellent advice. I'm losing friends faster than I'm making them here. Don't like Stormtroopers. Don't know what a Dalek is. Never seen Doctor Who. Why are we friends? Casey, I don't know, man. I love you. I appreciate it. Don't leave me, Casey. You're my first connection in LA. Because I fell into the trap you just talked about, Luke, although I'm lucky, I'm a lot older than most people and I'm in a different spot. So I could weather the storm of spending $700 on a helmet, which that was my regret we talked about. My piece of advice is, because I've learned the hard way, is do the research and be patient. Be patient. These things are not going to start coming like you're inside of 2 weeks, you're not going to have what Luke has behind him or what I have behind me. That's years of collecting. Be patient, do your research, and make sure you know what you're getting and what you're getting into. Is that fair, Luke?
Well, I picked up my first helmet in fact, if we're going to talk about my Stormtrooper armor with the helmet, which is technically my first helmet, I picked that up in 2015, maybe 2014. So this is sort of 7 to 8 years worth of collecting. And when you think about it, 14 helmets in 8 years, it's not even 2 a year. So look at it that way. Yeah, definitely. I think patience and research, definitely 2 big ones.
And for me, I'm in a completely different place than Luke is. My daughter's 26 and is long since gone. It's just me and my wife. We don't have a lot of expenses, and I'm much older. So I'm able to pick them up a little bit more quickly. But even then, what you're looking at behind me is 26. That's 5 years, I think. Yeah. And I don't think it's a secret. I'm retired, so I have more time too, as well. So, each person is in their own situation. Don't outgo your own situation, I guess is the best way. Kind of like Luke said, don't outgo your budget. Don't outgo, and be patient. I think
it's very easy to see what other people have got sometimes. You look at somebody who's collecting helmets on YouTube or whatever, and they're like you, Paul, they're collecting Anovos, and they can be $600, $700, $800, and it's very easy to get caught up in the romance of that's what I want to own. All of a sudden, no other helmet is good enough. That's what I want. But you've got to be able to afford it. Otherwise, it can become a problem.
Oh, so Pete, that's a good question. Pete asks, are screen used helmets, are they even out there, or are they made up, I'm guessing? So the hilarious thing about this is from the original trilogy, yes, those original screen used props are out there, and there's so few of them because they made like 20 Stormtrooper helmets, like two AT-AT helmets, and then they just added red to the back. They're out there, but they're well beyond my price range for the actual screen use stuff. You can see YouTube videos on them. Luke, have you seen those? I mean,
I've seen a few. Yeah, I've seen a few. Yeah. Obviously, we'd all love to be able to own a screen used helmet, but no, they're completely another stratosphere for me. So
they're owning anything from those movies. And here's the other thing, funny Pete. I'm going to concentrate on the original trilogy. Though they were making props for a filming process that is obsolete now, and they were learning as they went. The Stormtrooper helmets look very closely at the movies. Now, Lucas has cleaned up some of it, but the Stormtrooper helmets are all kinds of messed up and mispainted and wonky. Yeah. I'm not even sure I'd want one for that money, Luke.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and in fact, when I assembled my Stormtrooper helmet for my armor, I deliberately did it a little bit wonky. For that reason, because obviously back in the day they were all handmade, none of them were perfectly symmetrical or anything like that. So I actually purposely put my dome on a slightly lopsided and deliberately. When we got the raw casts and we were doing them up, we purposely made them slightly lopsided at times and things like that because they were. And for us, it added to the authenticity and the charm of them. So I never, as much as I love Black Series, the one thing that when people ask me. And every so often, I wish they weren't quite so perfect because you look at the Stormtrooper from the Black Series, it is exactly perfectly symmetrical, perfectly finished, everything's evenly done, and you look at it and you think it looks fantastic. However, not less accurate. I know it's based on the Rogue One helmet, which they are very well done, but still,
Yeah, I think I was on USR a few months ago, and Matt's Matt, Universal Collector, is a heavy costumer and heavy into helmets. He's gotten rid of most of it, but he and I were just busting everybody's expectations. Oh yeah, look at this scene. This is all screwed up. Look at that scene. And everybody in the chat was just like, well, thanks for ruining our childhood, guys. And see Matt's collection there's so many Matts. He's got a good point. If you look at I have my Anovos helmets, they're all a little wonky because they tried to make them screen accurate, and consequently they look. I don't like them as much. It's just weird.
It's funny.
God, I was gonna say something and I forgot too. We got off in another tangent there, but that was a good question though, Pete. Oh, I know what it was. For the prequels, absolutely no helmets. They're all CGI, so there's no helmets made.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now for the sequels. I've already talked about this. I'm not a big fan of any of the sequel helmets. I got the one that I like, so I don't know what the props look like on that one, Pete. And even if they did, they'd be so expensive. that it would be outside my budget, and I wouldn't want to pay it anyway because I didn't like the helmet, so I don't know. But for the sequel or the prequels, all CGI. For the original trilogy, forget about it. So few and so expensive.
Yeah.
Right. See, Matt is going to go down this road with us too over at Matt's collection. Look at the Stormtrooper helmet in A New Hope. You can see that they're held gaffer. Yeah.
On the backs of the legs when they're running down the tansy. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, they're spreading apart. When they're holding Princess Leia, one of them has black gaffer tape around. Yeah. The worst is the carbon freezing scene. If you look at the Stormtroopers, one of them's shoulder bell is falling off and everything like that. The Sandtroopers weren't meant to look like Sandtroopers. They're just screwed up the armor. They didn't paint stuff on. It was terrible. Oh, and then Matt, Universal Collector, another Matt. A lot of original Stormtrooper from A New Hope are hand painted with white gloss, not sprayed. Yeah, right. So just off the chain. Luke, we got a question from JT. Yeah. Luke and Paul, what are your favorite look for Stormtroopers? New Hope, Empire, Jedi, Rogue One. What's your favorite look?
Empire, purely because it's my favorite film. I did like when they went to the all black frown in Jedi. But Empire, because I'm biased, it's my favorite film.
You know what? For me, order, symmetry, perfection kind of appeals to me. So for me, the Rogue One Stormtroopers take the cake. That's why I love my Black Series so much.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Alan, how much are the screen used? Like into the hundreds of thousands of dollars they go at auction. Yeah, 6 figures, easy. You can buy a house, which you can buy some of that stuff for now. It's ridiculous, and it only gets worse and worse and worse as Star Wars continues. So Luke, we talked about a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna talk about Anovos, the new Anovo, real fast, if that's cool.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
So early on, there was a company called Anovos. They had a beautiful website. They had the Lucasfilm license, and they were providing licensed helmets, costumes, Star Trek stuff, other IPs at a very expensive price. But their stuff, for the most part, was great quality, and it was good to have. But 2 problems. They were taking your money, and it was more of like a Ponzi scheme type of thing where they would get up all the money, then they would use that to get the product, and then they would send it out piecemeal. And they got in trouble, federal government type trouble. And then pretty soon they weren't delivering stuff. They already took years to deliver stuff to begin with. And then pretty soon they were gone. Like the website just disappeared and everything was waitlisted. A few months ago, probably coming up on a year ago now, a company called Denuo, they renamed the company Denuo Novo, and they were taken over by Rubies and another company. They're all one big conglomerate now, and they started offering product again. And they had like the Short Trooper helmet and one of the First Order helmets and the red Emperor's Guard helmet in stock, and they were sending them right out. And I paid close attention, and for the most part, the stock looked good. The Short Trooper helmets were coming in a little wonky. Sometimes some of them, they didn't have the red painted on because, as I understand it, they had switched to a different vendor. So long story short, the company collapsed. Nobody will tell anybody, as far as I can tell, if the guys that were involved last time are still involved, because that was the problem. They're now called Denuo Novo. If you go to their website, they started off with like 4 helmets, Luke. It was just stuff they had in stock, and they were able to send it right out. But they've started, here we go again, all these pre-orders for all these different helmets, TIE Pilot helmets, right, raised costume, and they're at a premium price. And this is my personal advice. No one's paying me to say this. No one's asking me to say this. I don't have a horse in this race because I'm pretty much done with those helmets. I would be leery pre-ordering from a company that already proved that there's a possibility that they will collapse, even though they're owned by Rubies and stuff now. Yeah. And at that price, I think you can do better in other places. But if you want to buy from them and that's your jam, go for it. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling you I would be nervous. Have you seen any of this, Luke, or know about any of this going on?
No. I knew about Anovos as a company, and I knew through you, to be fair, that the company had sort of largely disappeared. I mean, what always struck me, and because I could never, and this is, I guess, what the point is, because I could never afford these helmets, I never really looked into them. I knew of the company and things like that, but all I ever saw was people paying, big chunks of money for these helmets, and then waiting for, like I said to you, 12 months, but you said 12 months and the rest. Even if I could afford it, if I'm honest, I have real issue with paying for something that I'm not going to get for 2 years or 3 years. Yeah. I mean, I just don't think I'd have done it if that was the case, even if I could afford it. I don't like pre-ordering action figures at £17 a pop if I'm not going to get them for 6 months. I've pre-ordered Bo-Katan's helmet that's not due here in the UK. It might move, but not due in the UK until November. And the only reason why I did that is because the company I pre-order through don't take any money from you until your item's been shipped. Mm-hmm. So I'm quite happy to pre-order if I don't have to pay anything up front. But the idea of paying, even £100 for a helmet, if I'm not going to receive it for 8, 9, 10 months, I just won't do it. The idea of parting with so much, large sums of money for something I'm not going to receive for a long time, I just won't do it.
You know what? You just made another excellent point. I'm not sure. Someone may correct me on this, but I think it's actually a law in the United States now for real companies. If you order something on pre-order, they can't take your money until they ship it. And so if you order from Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, Dorkside, nothing will show up on your credit card until it actually ships. And that's how people get excited, because they'll be like, I've been waiting for this for 6 months. They just charged my credit card. Here it comes. And that's where Anovos got into trouble. And it may be one of the impetuses for this. They were taking your money ahead of time, all of it, and making you wait 2, 3, 4 years. Some people never got, some people never got their stuff, Luke, even though they're back in business, i.e. KC. They claim they will fulfill past orders, but he's 4 years on now, nothing about getting his first order armor.
I mean, surely, and this is just me because I'm quite cynical. After that amount of time, surely everybody at some point thinks this isn't happening. After I'm not even on the radar anyway. I can't be after that amount of time. I'm just waiting for something that isn't coming. That's where my head would be.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, we've talked a lot about it. Luke and I are not professionals. We're not experts by any stretch of the imagination.
Far from it.
There you go. You take whatever we said with a grain of salt, or with a bag of oats, whatever you're interested in and believe, and do what's comfortable for you. I'm not telling you not to buy from Dinu Anovo. I'm not telling you that. Just understand that they had this track record. Now they're owned by Rubies, and I think Mattel or some other company. Go to their website. They'll tell you about it. So if you're comfortable, go for it. But this is what's happened in the past. So I just want to get that out there. Oh, speaking of royalty. Hey, Timmy.
See you, man.
Yeah, talking about helmets. I think Tim does not dabble in helmets at all, probably because he's a lot smarter than you and I, Luke.
Yeah, well, he is a lot smarter than us, without a doubt.
Yeah, oh, my goodness. Oh, my, wow. So, you know what? Yeah, there you go. Actually, Wizzy Wiz takes what we say as gospel, and that's how you're supposed to do. That's right.
Oh, you're too kind, sir. Too kind.
No, the only thing holding my brain in is these headphones. If I take these off, they just come right out of my ears, dude. Don't listen to a thing I say. I just made that up. Yeah, I made that up just now. Take it with a grain of salt. That's a real one, or a bag of oats. I just made that up, Christian. Yeah. Luke, I have 6 brothers, and I'm going to ask my mother why she lost one of our other brothers, because he acts like one of my brothers.
I think Christian just wants to pick an argument with you now, Paul.
Yeah, well, he's buying the first round if I ever can get to the United Kingdom, if you guys let up on the restrictions. So
end of this month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everything's done end of this month.
Fair enough. So, JT, by the way, with the great questions, brother, I appreciate it. We're starting to wind down, but I want to answer this question, Luke. JT asks, is there any helmet from another franchise that you'd like? Luke, I'm going to let you have this one because you know my answer.
Very easy for me. I would love a 1.1 scale helmets from Mask. Without a doubt, I would be all over those if they made those. There's a guy on Instagram currently making 3D printed ones again, but they look great. If he produces them to sell to the public, I will be buying them without a doubt.
Oh, so I love you, Luke. We're tight, for as tight as you can be over the internet, and I watch all your videos. Yep. I don't know jack or crap about Mask, and you are Mask.
Yeah, love it. I would be all over those. I would be all over them. Yeah.
This is my favorite. Welcome back, Star Wars fans. Today we're going to talk about Mask.
Yeah, not the only person to point it out, Paul. However, I'd just like to point out before you carry on, I stopped doing that for one video, and you called me out on it and said, you can't do that. It doesn't sound right.
No, you have your patented thing. I'm surprised you haven't yelled at me for changing the way I've started my videos. So I don't want to hear about it. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't feel that's my place, sir. But you do it to me, though.
What? When has that suddenly become not your place? Now you're being demure, and I don't want to hear it. JT, for me, I mostly stick to. Actually, I do completely stick to Star Wars helmets, and as you can see, I stick to the Empire. Keep an eye on my channel because that's about to change, but it's still Star Wars. But if I could buy one helmet and one helmet only from another franchise, easily, hands down, no problem. One of my favorite actors is Carl Urban. One of my favorite movies is the Dread that he did. I want that Dread helmet. That thing looks badassery. Yeah.
It's a good choice. Good choice.
No doubt. All right, Christian, thank you very much. You'll buy me a scotch. Get some good English scotch over there. Dave, our borders have been open for ages. We just didn't tell you. Yeah, okay. See, this is what happens when you try to make friends with the English guys, and all they do is want to bang you around. Yeah. So, JT, what can I say about? Yeah, good for you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good man.
Oh, yeah. Scuba Pete, VTR Paul's on the watch list. You know what? I hope I'm on the watch list. I could use them video views. Oh, you mean something else, don't you, Pete? Never mind. Yeah, Dread for sure, buddy.
Yeah, it's a great shout, that one.
Dave's in on it now. I'd be smuggling in those helmets, you know. Oh yeah, proper ball-in style Dread helmet would be an insta buy for me. Absolutely, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Scuba Pete is the king of dad jokes. I love having him in the chat, Luke.
Yeah, no, I love Scuba. He's great guy.
Yeah. So Luke, we hit all the questions. We've gone for an hour and 50. I usually try to keep these under 2 hours, but before we start winding down, first of all, I wanted to thank everybody in the chat who's joined us, or if you're watching us on the replay.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Great questions as well. Some really good questions tonight. Really enjoyed them. Yeah,
great humor. A whole bunch of regulars, people that I love and know from the YouTubes here, and then a couple of new faces. Always good to see you. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah,
if you're watching on the if you're watching on the replay, good for you. I didn't realize you were that interesting, but thank you, Luke, and thank you for coming on.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
I'm going to talk about where we're going in the future, but I have a tendency to cut you off if you notice, because I like to do all the talking. But any last words, anything that you didn't get a chance to say or talk about that you wanted to mention before I start slowly getting us out of here? No,
not at all. I think we've discussed obviously everything that I think we planned to, and we've gone off on tangents here and there. But I just want to say thank you again to everybody in the chat. Some fantastic questions as well. Really enjoyed some absolutely fantastic questions. Really enjoyed answering those.
There you go. You make my heart sing.
But no, really enjoyed it, Paul. Thank you for inviting me on, and looking forward to future shows without a doubt.
Which is a great segue. So, unlike my breakdown shows, which are weekly when the shows are coming, this is going to be a recurring stream as well. But Luke's a real person and has lots of stuff going on. So these will not be on a specific schedule. We're going to kind of do these as often as we can, or we feel is necessary, when we can fit it into our schedules. And from here on out, Luke is going to be my new co-host. He's not going to be the guest anymore. He'll be the co-host. Got to have that pretty face and that beard on here. And we're going to have people, other collectors, helmet vendors and makers, distributors, painters and things on, and hopefully get them in and interview them and try to get as much information about helmet collecting, specifically Star Wars helmet collecting, out as we can, because I just think there's a want and a need for it out there. Luke, would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We've often said, just to repeat myself, I think it is a really I don't know if this is the right term, a really underaddressed sort of line and topic. It's something that, regardless of the space issue at the moment, I don't think I could resist a helmet. If I saw a good one at a good price, I would still buy them, and still intend to. So, yeah, it is something that I'm looking forward to very much. Absolutely. Matt, you're Matt over at Universal Collector. You are rolling around in the back of my head, because with your costuming and helmet knowledge, you'd be a great guest on here. Yeah, he's done a great Dread outfit as well. Paul, I don't know if you've seen that. Oh, I creep his Facebook all the time, probably once or twice every 2 weeks, and just look at his costumes. They're so good, man. So good. Very good. Yeah. You know what? A special shout out to Michael Hendrickson, who's one of my 4 new channel members. It's been awesome. Thank you very much, Michael. I've got 3 other guys who joined as members as well, but I haven't seen them in here tonight. And a special thanks, and I'm going to screw up. I forgot who it was. I think it was Tree Theodore. Yes, it was. Tree Theodore. For the super chat. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciated that. Yeah, but to everybody else, to everybody else that joined us, to everybody else who's watching us on the replay, it has been a blast. And I will tell you, we love these guys, and we love talking about this. Am I crazy, Luke? All right. No, a bit. All right. Yeah, well, a little bit. You got to be, right? $700 for a plastic or a fiberglass helmet, So. So here's the deal, Luke. I got to indoctrinate you, because last time your connection was messed up and you didn't quite get it in. But here on Paul's Collectibles, when we end a stream, we hit everybody with the thumbs up. And we say, we're going to see you on the next episode. We're going to see you on the next episode.
There
Bye,
you go.
everybody.
Bye.